Hi there, today we'll dive into the world of the game Tales of Berseria and learn what this game has to offer. This is GiockBul and we are getting started. It all began 7 years ago when bandits attacked the village of Abbey during the Scarlet Night when people started turning into demons. In this tragedy, there was one exorcist, Arthur, who lost his beloved Silica. She happened to be the sister of Velvet and Laphicet. After that night, Laffy and Velvet lived a normal life. However, Laffy had health issues and spent his time at home reading books. But then Laphicet decided to go for a walk, which ended badly as he and Velvet were attacked by a demon. Velvet tried to save him but couldn't, and Arthur came to their rescue. Velvet woke up in her own home. Rushing outside, she realized that the Scarlet Night had returned and people in the village were turning into demons. She found Laffy, her brother, but a sacrifice. After that, Velvet went mad and became a demon with a huge hand capable of devouring other demons. Artorius didn't like this outcome and imprisoned Velvet. In captivity, Velvet had to fight on demons for a couple of years. Ceres comes to Velvet's aid trying to free her. It turns out that a ritual performed by Artorius somehow made Malach invisible to ordinary people, increasing the number of exorcists and effectively protecting cities from demons. For this deed, Artorius was given the title of Shepherd, and the Abbey he founded afterward became an incredible influential force, even subjugating the royal family. We find the Stormhowl blade, which will be our future companion, and we also find ourselves some sexy outfit. We realize that we can't handle this alone and decide to free all the hostages from this prison. After opening the cells, we meet our team member Magilu, a witch. Then we encounter a strange swordsman who got excited when told about a sword and he immediately went after it. On our path we meet our next enemy, Oscar, an exorcist preacher. During the battle with him, his Malachim started turning into demons. A dragon attacked Velvet, but Ceres intervened and ended up taking the blow instead of Velvet. Velvet had to fight the dragon. After defeating the dragon, Velvet tried to finish off Oscar, but she only managed to take one of his eyes before he disappeared. After Oscar left, Velvet along with Rocker and Magilu heads to the shore where they find a ship and set sail. Our heroes find themselves on a snowy continent after being washed ashore. There they meet another Malach who resembles Laphicet, and he heals them before running off with a compass. And then he took the compass and returned it. The city is guarded, so we chase the boy. Eventually we arrive in a city where we meet the boy and the exorcist Teresa. She informs us that the actions of the ship guild have been suspended and the ship cannot be repaired due to one of its members being involved in smuggling a firestone. Velvet wants to find him, a man named Dial. On our way we encounter an exorcist girl who is crying. She introduces herself as Eleanor Hume and complains that the Abbey is not helping remote settlements, dooming people to their deaths. She bids farewell and leaves, and we continue our search for Dial. We find a girl who tells us where to find Dial. It's revealed that he is a lizard demon. We find Dial, but he attacks us. He tells us an interesting story that not only he was involved in smuggling, but the entire guild was. He ended up being the scapegoat and now wants to seek revenge on the traitors. We cut off his tail, which will serve as proof that we killed him, and then we leave. They agreed to help us repair the ship, but unfortunately it turns out the ship is beyond repair and it's easier to buy a new one. Meanwhile, Oscar and Teresa meet and Oscar tells her what happened to him. He describes the girl who did this to him and Teresa immediately understands who they are talking about. Then exorcists capture Magilu and take her to Teresa. Returning to Velvet, our heroes plan to steal a ship and take Dial as a navigator. We meet Dial and explain our plan, which involves confronting the exorcists directly. When we return to the city as expected, we meet Teresa along with soldiers. After a brief battle with them, Dial blows up the warehouse, diverting their attention. Running to the port, Teresa personally with her Malachim tries to fight us. Velvet seizes the bow and gives him an order to detonate Teresa, and he obeys. This distracts them and we we steal the ship and sail away. Teresa and Eleanor want to report this to Artorius. On the ship we learn that the boy simply follows orders and doesn't act independently. His name is Number 2. We head to Logres. On the way, pirates attack us, firing at our ship, forcing us to urgently dock on the shore. We have stopped and the ship's captain wants to pick a fight with us. He introduced himself as Reaper Aizen. As it turns out, he was just testing us and wants us to join them because she shares our destination. So we'll have to follow the captain. We catch up to him and he tells us about the Reaper's curse bringing misfortune to everyone near him. Suddenly a scorpion attacks the boy in the cave, but Aizen saves him. He explains that Malakim have feelings like humans, but exorcists try to seal their personal qualities and use them as tools. We proceed through the cave to the city. Along the way, Aizen reveals his cunning plan when Althea will draw the fleet guarding the open sea and approach the gates of Fort Vortigern. However, on approaching the fortress, it is discovered that the garrison has been infected with malevolence and turned into demons. Velvet notices that this might be to their advantage since demons can't organize a coordinated resistance. But in use reauthorizes a battleship that could damage Van Althea. The group must disable it to ensure the mission's success. Aizen interrogates the remaining guard and learns that the keys to the gate control room are in the fortress's command post. While advancing toward the battleship, the group encounters an exorcist skilled in Rangetsu style. Rokuro decides to face him in battle, while the other members rush to destroy demons on the battleship and explode the powder magazine. The group proceeds to the fortress's command post and successfully finds the key and the compass. Number 2 asks for permission to carry the compass and Velvet agrees. We reach the rooftop and encounter the guard who told us where to find the key. However, he immediately turns into a demon. The demon tries to attack Number 2, but Velvet pushes him away and the compass falls to the ground. After defeating the demon, Velvet wants Aizen to signal Van Althea to pass through the gate without stopping. However, Aizen assures her that his crew will handle it without further instructions. The demon is not entirely dead and sends Laphicet flying. Velvet manages to save him. They both jump onto Aizen's ship. Velvet gives the boy the name Laphicet and he doesn't understand what it means. She explains that it is his name now. As soon as we sail into port, we are informed that the ship was registered as a regular trade vessel and we learn that Alfred, whom Aizen is searching for, has been sent to Titania, a prison for demons. Aizen also tells us about a ceremony where Artorius, the one Velvet is hunting, will be present. As soon as we pass through the Logres gates, guards stop us and ask for our documents. Magil comes up with the story that we are a group of performers with the DAO as part of our act. It works and we proceed. We reach the gates where a performance is taking place, with Artorius making an appearance. Velvet can't contain himself and runs to see him and kill him. Quite a reckless move. Artorius calls upon the citizens to suppress their desires, as it is because of them that people transform into demons. Fortunately, no one discovers Velvet, even though she used her demonic hand and got a bit carried away. At the same time, Magil leaves us to pursue her own matters in search of her Malakim. Aizen suggests gather information before taking any action to stay informed about Artorius' and his aliases' plans, as well as finding their weaknesses. Aizen also mentions that his captain Alfred had close ties to the Shadow Guild, and there is someone in Shadow Guild who might know something, so we head there. We arrive at the town where there is only an old woman who can help us learn Artorius' plans, but first we must complete a few tasks: destroy goods, searching for a missing man, and foil an ambush. During the first task we burn down a warehouse along with the goods. There we also come across Eleanor, the same crybaby we met before. She summons her Malakim, who turns out to be a traitor who ran away from our Magilu. We return to the tavern and report everything to the old lady. We return to the old lady and she informs us that Shepherd Artorius has gone north, where a new Abbey temple, the Empyrean throne, is located. She offers us her help, but in exchange we must kill Gideon. I almost forgot to mention this old lady's name is Tabata Baskerville and she is the leader of the Bloodwind butterflies. We are given a special mark that will help us request assistance from the guild's alias. Unfortunately, Aizen didn't get any information about Alfred. Everyone then goes to rest at the tavern. At this point, Velvet has a terrible nightmare, and upon waking up, she grabs Laphicet by the neck after the horrifying dream. We find the guard with a red scarf and show him a special mark. He shows us the passage that will lead us into the castle. We head to the catacombs and pursuit of Gideon. We reach the library through the catacomb where we find a book that Laphicet wants to take with him, and Velvet allows it. We reach Gideon, but Eleanor appears immediately, trying to protect him. And we engage in a battle with these guards. Bionfu suddenly appears, trying to save Eleanor, but Velvet pushes him away. Magilu shows up and takes Bionfu for herself. Under Velvet's pressure, Gideon turns into a demon but manages to escape. However, when we find him again, it's too late. He's been devoured by a griffin. There is a magical barrier around the griffin. Eleanor arrives, having witnessed the demon's transformation back into a human, and she is somewhat confused. We return to Tabitha and she tells us that to remove the barrier from Artorius' temple we need powerful malachims. We are 1 malach short, we have 3 out of 4. Now we head to Port Zexan while the scouts gather information about the Abbey temple. After the scouts return and report that exorcist patrols were attacked by a strange malach wielding a pendulum, Aizen speculates that this malach might be related to the captain's disappearance. He sets out after the malach while the rest of the group goes to the new Abbey temple. We discover Aizen fighting some guy and Velvet intervenes in the fight, defeating both malachims and forcing them to stop. The mysterious malach introduces himself as the Wit and says that he knew Captain Alfred. Savit helps the group remove the magical barrier and leaves. Aizen decides not to pursue him as he believes Melchior can help them find the captain. The group continues into the temple. In the temple they see Artorius praying. After a brief conversation he begins to attack us. Velvet attempts to defeat him alone but fails to harm him. Artorius impales Velvet with his sword, but Laphicet tries to heal her. However, Artorius summons the power of the Empyrean and fully heals himself. Melchior, Oscar, Teresa and Eleanor then appear in the temple. Teresa orders Laphicet to kill Velvet and then himself, but Laphicet refuses and somehow breaks the magical link with Teresa. His actions cause a resonance between the power of the Empyrean and the GiockBul's opening a portal. Rokuro and Aizen catch the unconscious Velvet, Laphicet and Magillo, and they all pass through the portal. Eleanor tries to stop them but ends up in the portal as well. After the portal transports them to a strange place with magical streams and glowing crystals, Velvet, Laphicet and Aizen find themselves there. They learn that this place is called the Earth Pulse and represents the life energy flow of the world. Laphicet is exhausted after using his power and could turn into a demon at any moment. Eleanor joins them, offering to be a vessel for Laphicet so they can return to the world. Velvet agrees. Eleanor uses her magic and Velvet, Aizen, Laphicet return to the ancient ruins. However, Eleanor and Laphicet disappear, leaving only Velvet, Aizen, Rokuro and Magilu. They emerge on the surface and meet Eleanor at the entrance. Eleanor proposes a duel to Velvet, where if Velvet wins, Eleanor will serve her, but if she loses, Velvet will die. Velvet wins the duel, but when Eleanor attempts to end her own life, Laphicet intervenes, taking control of her body. Eleanor loses consciousness and the group decides she is no longer a threat. The next morning Magilu argues with Velvet for 100 gold, arguing that Velvet will give up on killing Artorius. The following morning Laphicet tells Velvet about a mysterious book they took from the Abbey's headquarters, which might contain secrets related to the Innominate. However, the book is written in an ancient language and they need a translator. Magilu claims to know someone who can help with the translation. First, though, they decide to find out where they are and how to return. As everyone rests, Eleanor goes for the Shining Sphere and receives a mission from Artorius to return Laphicet to the Abbey headquarters in Logres. Velvet and Aizen observe this but decide not to interfere until they understand Eleanor's true motives. Later, Magilu informs the group that they need to go to Assault in South Gant, where they can can find leads and someone who can help them with the book's translation. On the way they meet a man who tells them about a demon that only attacks swordsmen and breaks their swords. They encounter the demon that breaks swords in the battle. After the battle with the demon, Rokuro mentions that he knows the sword the demon was using, which is called Stormcall. They enter the mines to find the demon. In the mines they meet Rokuro's brother, who challenges him to a duel and wields the sword Stormcall. After the fight between Rokuro and Shiguro, even though Shiguro seemed to have won, he eventually leaves, telling them to meet him in Port Cadnix. Kuragane also departs, instructing them to follow him. Kuragane explains that he has made countless swords, but none can compare to Stormcall, so he decides to use his head as the material for forging the sword. Well, for now we'll wait and see when Kuragane will make a sword for Rokuro. In this cave we encounter exorcists who were sent by the Abbey to kill Eleanor. After all, she is a traitor. We also learn from Rokuro that in their family there are two techniques, single sword mastery and dual sword blade mastery. They learned them in a way that one technique opposes the other. In the part the groups meet Shiguro again. Rokuro and Shiguro engage in a duel. After the battle Shiguro departs again, and we set off for Southgate, where we hope to decipher the secret of the Innominate. During the journey to Southgate by ship, an extraordinary event occurs, an outbreak of the deadly disease Cursor Scourge. Aizen orders us to head to the nearest port Rinit to find the cure, which is Salatoma, a field flower. In the forest where we can find Salatoma, we encounter exorcists guarding the passage. After their victory we find the flowers, but a demon prevents us from collecting them. Velvet realizes that the demon is holding them with a barrier similar to what they saw in Logress. Convinced that the demon is not a threat, she destroys the barrier and the demon returns to its normal form. We obtain information from the exorcists about the sought-after Malak and the back cage, indicating the Abbey's strange actions. David meets with the group again and they learn that he might be the sought-after Malak for the Abbey. Upon arriving in Rinit, they deliver the Salatoma to the team for treatment, and Van Elte informed them that the last Ringen is a train tower of the Abbey, possible visit trap for the Wheat. Aizen knows it's a trap but still decides to see it for himself. Next we head to Lostringen, where Aizen finds Van Alfred, but discovers that it's a trap. David reveals illusions and they discover that Melchior is a villain who turns Malaks into demons. After the battle Melchior escapes and they decide to return to Rinit and continue their journey southward as the trail to Aifrit is lost. Upon arriving in Southgate, the group seeks information about Grimoire, Magellus' friend. They learn that Grimoire is a Normin, a Malak similar to Bjornfu. A merchant claims to have seen the original Grimoire on a nearby beach and the group heads there. Initially she refuses to help them, but later Laphset requests her assistance as he wants to learn the language and translate the book himself. Grimoire agrees to help Laphset translate the book into an understandable language. Velvet along with the team goes to the village of Haria, where they stay at an inn, allowing Grimoire to focus on translating the book with Laphset. After translating the book, the group learns that the Innominate has 8 heads, 7 of which consume malevolence. Serons created by the Innominate transfer malevolence through the Yours Pulse. Eleanor speculates that there was a war between the Innominate and the other Empyreans. Velvet decides to interrupt the Innominate's food supply by eliminating Serons. In the Temple of Palamedes we find a Seron who turns out to be Kamana, the daughter of a missing priestess. The Syrian is her own mother, thereby assuming a human form. Kamana starts crying and wants to return to her mother, not realizing that she ate her. Oscar arrives, now a one-eyed boy who Velvet kicked. Velvet breaks the barrier surrounding their Syrian. Now Kamana can join us on the ship. However, as soon as we leave the cave, we find that the villagers of this town are starting to turn into monsters. We leave these demons to the exorcists and escape. On the ship, Aizen tells us that demon blood doesn't exist. Aizen also explains that malevolence is impure emotions and sins that can turn a person into a demon, Serions consume malevolence, preventing transformation. After this word, life states exactly what was being discussed. After all, the book mentioned an 8-headed creature with 7 mouths that consume malevolence. Grimoire also tells us that Mala can transform into a dragon. Kamana misses her mother greatly, emitting an unpleasant aura. Eleanor wants to help her by sharing her own past. She's lost her mother at a similar age to Kamana's and shows Kamana the scar from a demon attack on her body. Velvet then calls everyone to find out what's next in the book. It turns out there can only be 7 Serions, and if one is killed, another takes its place in a cycle. To disrupt the Nominant's sustenance, they need to move all Serions from their guarded barriers. Now it's time to return to Logres. Upon returning to the port, there is a problem with a merchant demanding more money for docking our ship, but Aizen agrees to it anyway. We arrived in this town because we have another task from the Shadow Guild involving transporting a mysterious person out of the city. We can make a safe haven from the prison Titania. In the meantime, Leonor initially wanted to follow Artorius' orders to return Laphicet to Logres headquarters, but quickly changes her mind. When we return to the port, some strange energy passes, making people more apathetic. It turns out to be the suppression of desires by some powerful Malak in this city, so we need to leave this city quickly. On the ship we learn that the mysterious person we are transporting is the crowned prince of the Midgard Kingdom. We arrive at Titania and find that headless demons are killing poor exorcists. After exploring the prison, we encounter a headless demon, the most powerful monster created by the venomization ritual. After defeating it, the group descends to a deep chamber where Velvet reveals her true nature as one of the Serions. Leonor hears Kamana's voice, who is in distress. We return to the surface where the true form of the headless knight on horseback is revealed after the venomization ritual. After defeating the knight, we encounter a griffin. Now Serion and Percival explains his actions, why he had to leave the town and not return. Eleanor also faces problems. She begins to doubt the actions of the Abbey and starts thinking that Malakim also have their feelings. The next morning, Eleanor refuses to carry out Artorius' orders, and then group begins to question her loyalty. Velvet and Laphicet check the Yours Pulse notes and discover that the next node to the west of Titania. We sail to the location where Laphicet senses her spouse, which is in open sea, and everyone thinks there is a sea monster there, so we decide to do a little fishing. Velvet catches an unusual object that seems bottomless and continuously spawns monsters. After defeating the monsters, they discover Orichalcum and sturdy ores that can be used to craft a new sword for Rokuro. We return to Titania and Laphicet informs us that the next year's palace is located in the center of Midgard. Our heroes head to Midgard where they learn about a terrible demon living there. This demon was revealed to be a dragon and flew to the location of the Yours Palace. Their next destination is a mountain where the dragon headed. On the way we come across a town to gather information about the dragon. However, we encounter David, who sits alone waiting for someone and refusing to talk. So we'll leave him alone and move on. A random girl mentions that the dragon only appears on the mountain during rainy weather. Finally, the long-awaited rainy day arrives, and the dragon appears. Velvet and her team are ready to confront it. The dragon is nearly defeated, but the wind ruins allowing the dragon to escape. It turns out that this dragon was a malak that turned into a dragon and was important to the wind, but it flew away and we head back. Upon returning to town, we encounter a turtle who has a letter for Aizen. It turns out to be a letter from Aizen's youngest sister, with whom they had a falling out. Back on Titania, Laphicet discovers the next year's palace, and their next target is in the north of Hallowes. We head there and encounter Abbey guards who are reluctant to help the locals. So we decide to help the town folk and learn that a woman named Medusa had a child named Diana who turned into a demon. Medusa now seems to head the Abbey and has disappeared. The locals inform us that she is somewhere in the ruins, so we head there. There we encounter Abbey guards and engage in a fight. After defeating the Abbey members, we find Medusa. We thought she would be more cooperative because she hates the Abbey, but she attacks us. The Abbey told her that by becoming a Therion, she could consume malevolence and prevent what happened to her daughter, who turned into a demon. She then transforms into her Therion form. We defeat her and she calls Velvet as the Lord of Calamity. Her daughter's voice in her head claims that her mother loves her new father more than her. We take Medusa back to Titania, where a girl who lost her own mother scares Kamana. Eventually they bond. In the meantime, on Titania, Grimoire manages to decipher the next stanza in the book, which mentions the Innominate gaining 8 types of malevolence to return everything to the dawn of time. It also mentions 4 Empyreans who will destroy a certain devourer. However, the text beyond this point is too damaged to read any further. So we prepare to head to the next year's pulse node, which Lifeset says is in England. Upon arriving on a new island, Velvet immediately recognizes it as her hometown. On road to her village, we meet a girl who used to live there. She was surprised when Velvet returned and go out to the village. Upon returning to the village, they find all the villagers apparently alive, and even Lafayette, who always slept in Velvet's old house. However, upon entering the house, they discovered the real Lafayette, Velvet's brother, lying on the bed with his eyes closed. Velvet leaves the house with attempts to cook, and it is then that Lafayette awakens. Rokuro and Aizen head to a shrine to check for the presence of Siron. Lafayette finds a book which we need on the shelf in Velvet's house. It belongs to Artorius. Velvet becomes suspicious and asks Magilu if there is an art capable of manipulating dreams. Velvet goes outside and sees that the villagers have turned into demons again. It was all an illusion. They must now fight these demons. They reach the Siron, which consists of 2 dog-like creatures merging into a massive 2-headed dog demon. The book Lifeset head disappears after defeating the Siron, and they need another one. As it turns out, Melchior came to this village and took the book with him. Fortunately, they find another book, a copy made by Lifeset a long time ago, which he wrote by hand. Meanwhile, Oscar receives a secret new technique from Artorius and Melchior, and Teresa asks the shepherd to send her along with Oscar, but her request is denied. Returning to Velvet, she finally regains consciousness after losing it on the ship. Arriving on Titania, Lifeset finds the next year's pulse, which is located in England. On the way to England, the team discovers an Abbey ship with awakened Teresa, who was the sole survivor after a confrontation with Corsair's Scourge. The group takes her into custody. Teresa explains the presence of a Siron in England and a new combat technique that the Abbey's Malakim can use. She also asks for the group's assistance. Upon reaching the Siron, Teresa stuns her brother Oscar. She merges with a Siron that was present there. After defeating Teresa, Oscar seeks revenge for his sister and uses his powers. Once Oscar is defeated, Teresa, now with newfound strength, attempts to attack. However, Velvet uses her demonic arm to strike her down. Oscar and Teresa are now defeated. Returning to the ship, they receive terrible news from Benwick. Titania has been attacked. On the way to Titania, Magilu finally reveals how to Abbey was keeping tabs on them, using Beyondful as a spy, which he couldn't control. On Titania, they encounter exorcists who are more formidable, the Armatus. They came to Titania for the Sarions we took. Leaving the Sarions on the ship, Velvet confronts Artorius and Shigure. Rokuro duels with Artorius, and Velvet attacks the Shepherd. However, the Shepherd reveals that the awakening of the Innominate is complete and summons the 5th Empyrean. It turns out that 8 types of malevolence were needed for the Innominate, and he had gathered 6. Velvet is shocked to see that the Innominate's appearance matches that of her deceased brother. He is revealed to be Velvet's brother reborn and now only needing to consume Velvet to complete his awakening, which requires her hatred and despair. After this revelation, all are pulled into the Year's Pulse, which serves as the vessel for the Innominate, who hopes to consume Velvet and finally awaken. Being the first to emerge from the Year's Pulse, Magilu initiates a battle against Melchior. Meanwhile, inside the Innominate's vessel, Velvet begins to lose her sanity, unable to believe that her brother and Artorius planned this, dismissing it as an illusion and lashing out. Inside the Year's Pulse, Velvet witnesses visions of Artorius' past. These visions revealed that Artorius decided to destroy malevolence and free will only after demons killed his wife.
Silica, Velvet's sister. It is revealed that Ceres and Abbey 2 are reincarnations of Artorius' wife and their unborn child. These fragments of history also revealed that Velvet's brother was terminally ill with no cure. Desperate and near defeat, her despair takes physical form as a monstrous creature. However, the Innominate intervenes and absorbs the monster.
Lyphset is nearby and inspires Velvet to overcome her despair with his words,
helping her cast off her desperation. This moment plays a crucial role in her personal development, and Velvet decides to move forward. On the other side, Magil confronts Melchior, who intends to seal the Your Spouse Reef, trapping the group inside. Magil resists him, creating a barrier to thwart his plans. She displays her strength and determination in her struggle against the Legate. Meanwhile, the rest of the group finally emerges from the Your Spouse Rift, forcing Melchior to retreat. They decide to leave the place and take number 1, the Malak Melchior abandoned with them. The heroes find themselves in a unique dimension created by Melchior for experiments. There they find the Innominate, who confronts them. He transforms number 1 into a dragon and attacks them. David tries to hold off the Innominate while the others fight the dragon, but the dragon's regeneration proves too strong. Lyphset asks the others to keep the dragon at bay while he attempts to confront the Innominate. Despite being overpowered, Lyphset resists for a long time. In the end, the Innominate attempts to destroy Lyphset with a powerful attack, but Lyphset evades it, causing the attack to hit the dragon. The dragon breathes a stream of fire that doesn't harm the Innominate. The Innominate then tries to turn Lyphset into a dragon by filling him with malevolence, but Lyphset neutralizes it with a powerful burst of silver flames. The Innominate is defeated and retreats, allowing to escape on a stolen ship. After leaving the island, Violet and her friends stops in Cadnic for the night. The next morning, Aizen receives a message from one LT indicating the location of their captain, one Aphrid. They set out to rescue him, but suspect that the demon controlled by Melchior is in fact one Aphrid. David immediately heads to Langent Island as indicated in the letter, and the group follows, stealing another ship from the port. On the island they find one LTS crew who suffered greatly in their encounter with the demon. David went ahead trailing the demon and the group follows. At the end of the road they encounter the demon that defeated David. It turns out to be one Aphrid who couldn't resist Melchior's illusions. Aizen tries to reach one Aphrid but ultimately realizes there is no saving him. He takes the with Siegfried and delivers a devastating blow to the weakened demon as it tries to attack Lyphset. Lyphset activates the silver flame, purifying the weakened demon and returning him to human form.
However, his wounds remain incurable. Before his death, Van Aphrid shares valuable information. Awakening the Empyreans requires suitable souls offered as sacrifices. Oscar and Teresa are suitable sacrifices, and the place for Empyreans awakening is Volcan Calarius.
After leaving the island, the heroes decide to visit the capital to learn what has happened. Upon arrival, they discover the city has fallen under the Innominate's control, with malevolence-wielding Malachims patrolling the streets. The group rescues Prince Percival and several others from the clutches of the Malachim. Prince Percival implored the heroes to help stop Artorius, to which Violet responds that she had already planned to do so. Violet heads north to the city of Marshall. On the way she realizes that the souls of Oscar and Teresa are insufficient to awaken the four Empyreans, and this process could cause a volcanic eruption destroying the city. To prevent this, Violet decides to attract a demon and declares herself the Lord of Calamity. Panicked citizens flee the city and the Abbey sends exorcists in search of her, including suitable sacrifices. Meanwhile, Melchior has already arrived at the location. He will be the necessary element for the sacrifice. While Velvet spends time with Lyphset, who believes demons can be returned to humans, she reflects on the sacrifices she has made and contemplates what will happen if she defeats the Innominate. In doing so, she realizes that all the Assyrians will disappear, including herself as she is Assyrian. And as the Crimson Knights, the heroes set out for the mountain. Along the way they encountered Shigure, who explained that his Malak Morgram did not strengthen him, instead it suppressed his power. This was part of Shigure's training before his showdown with Artorius.
Velvet and the others joined Rokoro in the battle against Shigure.
In the battle, Rokoro blocked his brother's attacks and ultimately inflicted a mortal wound upon him. Then they reached the mountain top where they confronted Melchior. Melchior attempted to attack them using teleportation, but Magilu foiled his plan. In the battle, Melchior realized that he couldn't defeat them, so he tried to trigger a volcano eruption. However, Magilu created an illusion of a flower that stunned Melchior, and Velvet killed him. Afterwards, the hero sacrificed 4 souls to the volcano, awakening 4 Empyreans. Upon awakening, the Empyreans suppressed the aura of the Innominate and expelled him from the Earth's path. The Innominate departed into space, creating an energy mass where he and Artorius awaited the heroes. Using the Empyrean throne, the heroes entered the energy mass, where Empyreans and Shepard awaited them. A fierce battle unfolded between Artorius and the Innominates. After a grueling battle, they realized that their strength was insufficient to win, and Artorius decided that he needed to fully awaken the Innominate. He admitted that for a long time he had restrained his desires and the power of malevolence solely through force of will. Artorius enters a fusion with the Innominate, fully awakening him. Despite this powerful fusion, the heroes defeated Artorius and the Innominate, breaking the fusion. Velvet attacked Artorius when he attempted to defend himself, ultimately killing him. The Innominate, devoid of his vessel, began to act strangely. Consumed by his thirst for malevolence, the heroes realized that if they killed him, all Syrians, including Laphicet, would die along with him. Velvet devised a solution. She allowed the Innominate to attempt to devour her, and she in turn tried to devour him, creating a cycle of absorption and restoration. Afterwards, she sealed herself away from the world to ensure that the Innominate would not be unleashed again. Then 4 Empyreans appeared, stating that they needed a 5th Empyrean to balance their influence on the world. Laphicet offered himself for this role. The Empyreans agreed, and Laphicet received the power of an Empyrean. His first act in this role was purifying the world with silver flame, destroying much of the malevolence and returning demons to their original forms. Transporting the remaining heroes back to Earth, he bid them farewell and adopted a new name that people would bestow upon him, Martellus. At this point, Rokoro revealed that not all the malevolence had been cleansed, and he remained a demon. That's how the story unfolds about Velvet and her group, which traveled, battled with demons, and ultimately saved the world from evil.